The first call came from an unfamiliar number. I let it go to voicemail. 20 seconds later, my pocket buzzed again. I ignored that one as well. By the time the seventh ring pushed through the quiet, my chest had tightened. The phone's rhythm, relentless, urgent, unforgiving, matched the pounding at the back of my throat. I wanted to pick up. I wanted to answer. I couldn't move my hand. I just stared at the glass and, without glancing at the clock, knew who it was. 139 missed calls. Her voice had been looping in my skull since the night before, replaying until it crowded out everything else. Her words cut into me, not outwardly sharp enough to make me flinch, but deep enough to singe inside. You should be grateful I even dated you. She spoke it like a final tally on our account. I smiled then, small and controlled, an expression that pretended indifference. Inside, though, the words burned, and the room felt like a film of that evening on repeat. I could still feel the warmth of the dishes under my fingers, taste the wine I'd picked just for her. It had been her birthday. I had arranged every detail, lighting softened to flatter, a menu chosen to impress. I had imagined the moment. Perfect, the kind that would draw applause from her friends. Instead, she rose abruptly, as if tugged by an unseen thread, and said, "I can't do this anymore." The sentence landed oddly gentle, as if heard through gauze. Then she added that line about gratitude, and everything changed. In a single instant, I was expendable. Her friends, those carefully selected people whose approval she clearly wanted, stood and followed her out, as if we were actors in someone else's story. Laughter, loud and coarse, filled the space she left. I didn't join them. I sat there while the world rearranged itself without me. 15 guests, polished and indifferent, walked away without a backward glance. I paid the bill, every course, every bottle, not out of noble impulse, but because it felt like the only thing left to do. The humiliation stung. My first reaction wasn't fury. It was that cold, quiet curiosity that comes when the familiar suddenly seems foreign. I needed to know whether this had been planned. Was the embarrassment staged? Had she been quietly building a case against me, rehearsing her exit like a performance, or had I been blind to the truths of her life the whole time? I did the only thing that restored a sliver of control. I started collecting evidence. I wasn't after vindication so much as clarity. I went through her phone, something I'd never thought necessary before, sifting notifications, deleted threads, the little private messages people leave behind when they assume no one is watching. Beneath the layers, I found a text from a name I didn't know. "Can't wait to see you tonight." Brief, ordinary on its face, it hit like a stone. I read it until its implications widened. It wasn't casual. It meant whatever was happening had a life beyond us. On Sunday morning, I walked into the kitchen carrying what would change everything. I held the proof in my palm, a DNA test result. The paper felt heavier than its weight. I made breakfast the way she liked it, light scrambled eggs, folded soft, no bitter edge, and slid the envelope across the table. I watched her color drain as she opened it. Her fingers trembled. The quiet between us hummed louder than all those ringing calls. "You knew," she breathed, barely a sound. I nodded once, steady, unhurried, as if that single motion closed a book. Her hands hovered over the page, like someone trying to hold a wound from widening. She seemed to expect panic or pleading, a desperate scramble to fix things. Instead, there was an unfamiliar calm in me. I let her see it, the collapse of the life she'd assembled so deliberately. I didn't demand explanations or confessions. I set the final motion across the table as if placing a cup down. "I want a divorce," I said, my voice even and low. She looked as if I'd plunged her into cold water. Her mouth opened and closed around things left unsaid. I raised a hand and stopped the tide before it could rise. There was nothing more to untangle. The choice had been made in the hidden messages, in the test results she'd never thought I'd uncover. After that, I left. The world tipped for her. For me, it tilted away. The phone kept ringing. Messages stacked in my inbox. The day went on its ordinary spin for everyone else. She scrambled afterward. Calls I ignored, explanations I refused to entertain. Her once meticulous life lay in fragments she tried to organize into neat piles. I didn't stay to watch the cleanup. I walked out wearing the same composed face I'd worn at the restaurant and when I set the envelope down that morning. No dramatic flourish, no grand speech, just the quiet of someone who had already turned inward and realized the person they used to be no longer existed. I felt both nothing and everything, hollow and strangely free, emptied of the version of myself that belonged to us. I was gone before she fully understood that I'd left. As the distance grew, the calls slowed, the messages lost their frantic edge, and her chosen world hummed on. I didn't look back.